Joba from Gakharia. This is the Rorschach, Georgia update from the 30th of January, 2025. Quick summary of what's going down in Georgia. Monday the 27th, the EU Council suspended free visa travel for Georgian diplomats and officials. The decision affects members of official Georgian delegations attending meetings or events in EU countries, members of Georgia's government, parliament, and courts, as well as holders of diplomatic passports. Regular Georgian passport holders will still enjoy visa-free travel to the EU for visits of up to 90 days. Council explained that this move is a response to actions by Georgia's ruling party, including passing foreign agents law and anti-LGBTQ law. It's also a reaction to the violent crackdown on peaceful protesters, politicians, and independent media, especially after the Georgian government suspended EU accession talks in 2028. Oddly, they didn't mention the fact that the election was rigged, meaning that they are not a legitimate government. Biggest upset for the legitimization of Georgia's ruling party happened on Wednesday the 29th when the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, or PACE, ratified the mandates of the Georgian delegation with conditions and restrictions. Conditions include the ruling party releasing all political prisoners and beginning an inclusive process with all political parties to address flaws in the electoral process, leading to new elections. This should be done before PACE's April session. If the Georgian Dream, or Kotsebi, fail to act, PACE will consider canceling the authorization of the Georgian delegation. Georgian side refused these conditions and declared they would cease cooperation with PACE until the conditions were revoked. Yet unclear whether this means the Georgian delegation will just stop attending the PACE sessions or if the country will leave the organization altogether. Up next, on Thursday the 23rd, the European Center for Press and Media Freedom, along with media protection groups like International Press Institute, PEN International, European Federation of Journalists, called for the immediate release of Mzia Makhlobeli, a veteran Georgian journalist and founder of news agencies Batumi and Netgazeti. Makhlobeli faces charges of assaulting police officer Irakli Gakharia in Batumi, seaside city in western Georgia. She was arrested on the 11th of January during a demonstration in front of the police station. On the 20th of January, Makhlobeli went on hunger strike to protest the charges and the mistreatment she faced in detention. Human rights groups are demanding her release, an investigation into how she was treated, and an end to the crackdown on media freedom in Georgia. Mzia Makhlobeli isn't the only one on hunger strike. After being detained during protests, activist Temur Katamadze was also arrested in Batumi. Authorities are now looking into deporting him to Turkey since he doesn't have Georgian citizenship. Katamadze has lived in Georgia for 12 years, has applied for citizenship multiple times, but his requests have been denied. His refugee status application was also turned down. He's been active in pro-European protests and has earned the nickname Flag Bearer because he's always seen with a Georgian flag. Katamadze said that during his arrest, Batumi police chief Irakli Gakharia, the same police chief Mzia Makhlobeli is accused of attacking, and 10 officers used force against him. He's been on hunger strike for 14 days. On Wednesday the 29th, the Czech Republic imposed sanctions on 3 senior officials from Georgia's Ministry of Internal Affairs responsible for violence against demonstrators in Georgia last year. The sanctioned individuals are Zvia Ivanishvili, the head of the Special Assignments Department, Mzira Kezebadze, his deputy, and Vaja Siradze, head of patrol police. They're banned from entering the Czech Republic. Other news, a database containing millions of Georgian citizens' personal data leaked online. On Monday the 27th, news portals Cyber News and Tech Radar reported cybersecurity researcher Bob Dashenko and his team discovered the breach. The data was stored on a German server. One list in the database held the personal data of 5 million users. Another had over 7 million phone numbers linked to personal details. With Georgia's population around 4 million, some records may include duplicates or information about deceased people. The sensitive data included IDs, names, birth dates, genders, insurance numbers, and phone numbers. Dashenko believes the data came from various sources, possibly government or commercial databases. While the server would shut down quickly, the leak still poses risks with potential for political manipulation or criminal activity. The most viral news of the week also had to do with cybersecurity. On Friday the 24th, pro-European hackers took over Tbilisi's public transport ticket machines. These machines are in buses and usually passengers hear a voice confirmation after paying with a card. But this time they got something completely different. Recordings of the Georgian national anthem, speeches of the first president Zviad Gamzakhoria, Prime Minister Zudajvanya about independence and Europe, Machines also played the EU anthem, a message of support for Ukraine, and ended with anti-Russia statements. Quickly deal with the problem, City Hall had to use some less than savvy technical solutions. They announced that bus rides would be free for the day. However, in several cases, drivers had to put duct tape over the speakers to modest effect. According to the NGO Transparency International, Bidzina Ivanishvili has begun transferring offshore assets to Georgia, with the process accelerating in recent days. On the 31st of December 2024, Ivanishvili and his family started moving companies from offshore zones to Georgia. By the 29th of January, they'd registered 8 new joint stock companies in Georgia and moved 12 companies from offshore jurisdictions. The transfers include significant capital totaling approximately 163 million lari, which is $56 million. This process follows U.S. sanctions imposed on Ivanishvili in December 2024. On another note, several politicians from the ruling party have proposed a bill that would grant members of Georgia's election administration the right to carry service weapons, meaning pistols and automatics. Under the bill, members would retain this right even after their term ends, as long as they've continuously served for the last 4 years. Parliament is set to review the bill when it begins its spring session. Recall that following the October parliamentary elections, the Prime Minister assigned Gakharia, chair of the election administration, a security detail. Many people in Georgia blame the election administration for falsifying the votes for the benefit of the Kotsevi, which they indeed did, thus giving them additional privileges and protections. This aims to reassure the members of their safety. On Friday the 24th, Gakharia, leader of For Georgia, or Sakartvelos, spoke about the details of his assault, which we have reported on in previous shows. He explained that he had been in Batumi to attend a court hearing for one of his party members. When he returned to the Sheraton Hotel, a group of people waited for him, some of them armed. They insulted and verbally attacked him, so Gakharia responded by splashing a cup of coffee on the Kotsevi member of parliament, Dito Samkharadze. Following this, the group physically assaulted him. Gakharia says Bidzina Ivanishvili orchestrated the attack, noting that Ivanishvili had publicly threatened him and his team. Gakharia also pointed out that the hotel lobby's unusual emptiness during the attack was suspect, and saw one person recording the incident, reinforcing his belief that the attack was premeditated. This week, Italian authorities arrested 19 Georgian women for using fake documents. 17 more women are facing charges. Police took action after a significant rise in Georgians applying for tax code numbers in the northeastern city of Udine. The investigators noticed that all the women who were ethnically Georgian used fake IDs from Slovakia, Poland, and Lithuania to work legally in Italy. They used these IDs to get fiscal code numbers in Udine, then moved to other regions for work. Investigators suspected the documents were fake and found that they were made abroad for about 600 euros. Police conducted raids simultaneously in several cities. If the fraud scheme is confirmed, the women will face deportation from Italy. More news about Georgians in Europe. On Friday the 24th, a 45-year-old Georgian citizen deliberately crashed his car into a police station in Bodgoz, Poland. The man broke through the front door and drove into the reception area. Security footage indicates the driver intentionally repeated the maneuver several times before managing to breach the entrance. Fortunately, only one person was inside at the time, and they managed to escape without injury. A blood test revealed that he was very drunk. Police are investigating whether he had any other motives or maybe just thought this was his garage. And that's it for this week. Thanks for joining us. Quick reminder before we leave, subscribing to the Rorschach Spain update is completely free. That's right. Whether you listen on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon, or YouTube, hitting that subscribe button won't cost you a thing. One of the best ways to support us and ensure you never miss an episode. So if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe today. As always, if you need help, feel free to contact us at info@rorschach.com. Hasta la próxima.